Love, at its purest, is meant to heal, but sometimes, love becomes the very reason we fall apart. Damon and Elena's story in the Vampire Diaries was one of those rare tales that made us question where passion ends and destruction begins. Their relationship wasn't simple, it was wild, chaotic, consuming, and yet, heartbreakingly irresistible. From enemies to lovers, their journey was filled with pain, fire, and undeniable connection that blurred the line between right and wrong. Elena was the light, empathetic, moral, and human in every sense of the word. Damon was her opposite, dark, impulsive, dangerous, and broken by centuries of loss. Together, they didn't balance each other out like the world wanted them to, instead, they collided. And yet, in those collisions, something beautiful happened. They exposed each other's deepest wounds, forcing growth, evolution, and understanding that no other relationship could offer. What made Delena so unique was not perfection, it was imperfection. They weren't the fairy tale couple people idealized, they were the reflection of every passionate relationship that burns too bright, too fast. Damon and Elena showed that sometimes, love isn't about calmness or logic, it's about surrender. It's about being drawn to someone who feels like both poison and medicine. Their love was toxic, yes, filled with manipulation, guilt, and emotional turmoil. But it was also beautiful because they truly saw each other. Elena saw beyond Damon's cruelty and found a heart desperate to be loved. Damon saw beyond Elena's morality and helped her embrace the parts of herself she was too afraid to admit existed. Together, they were the storm and the calm, heaven and hell. This story isn't about right or wrong, it's about the duality of love. Damon and Elena proved that some connections are not meant to be understood, they are meant to be felt. And even if their love destroyed parts of them, it also rebuilt them in ways no one else. 1. They fell for each other in chaos. Delena's love didn't grow in peace, it bloomed in pain, betrayal, and war. Elena was grieving the loss of her parents, trying to navigate supernatural chaos, and Damon was a vampire who thrived on destruction. Their connection started in a place of emotional wreckage, not stability. When two broken souls meet during chaos, the love they create often mirrors that chaos. Their bond was unpredictable, passionate, and impulsive because that's all they knew. Damon offered danger when Elena needed escape, Elena offered empathy when Damon needed redemption. Their love wasn't built on foundation but on fragments, and yet, that fragility made it real. It showed how sometimes, people who meet in dark times can find beauty in each other's wreckage. 2. Damon's obsession crossed boundaries. Damon didn't just love Elena, he craved her. His love often blurred into obsession, and it led him to make choices that hurt both of them. From compelling her brother to killing out of jealousy, Damon's love wasn't always rational, it was desperate. But behind that obsession was a heart starved of love for over a century. Damon's intensity came from years of rejection, pain, and loneliness. He didn't know how to love softly, he only knew how to love like he was fighting for survival. That's what made it both toxic and beautiful. Damon's obsession was wrong, but it was raw, the kind of love that exposes the human hunger for connection, no matter how dark it gets. 3. Elena lost herself in loving him. Elena started as a grounded, moral girl who valued control and empathy. But loving Damon changed her, she began to blur the lines between right and wrong. His chaos infected her calmness, and she started doing things she never thought she would. Some would say she lost herself. Others would say she found her true self, the part that wasn't afraid to break rules for love. That's the tragedy of Delena, love so intense it consumes identities. Elena's transformation was both frightening and fascinating. It showed how love can awaken the hidden sides of us, for better or worse. 4. Their chemistry was undeniable. Even when they hated each other, the tension was palpable. Every glance, every fight, every touch had electricity. That chemistry was their greatest gift and their biggest curse. Because with chemistry that strong, it's easy to mistake passion for destiny. They kept getting drawn back even when they knew they shouldn't. No logic could fight that magnetic pull. Sometimes love isn't about compatibility, it's about chemistry that defies reason, and that's exactly what made Delena unforgettable. 5. They brought out each other's dark sides. Damon made Elena embrace her darkness, the part that wanted freedom from perfection. Elena made Damon feel emotion, guilt, and pain, things he had buried for decades. They awakened the worst and best in each other. But the more they exposed each other's demons, the more they spiraled. Damon's rage intensified, Elena's guilt deepened. Love turned into a battlefield of emotional wounds. Yet, paradoxically, that's what made their bond powerful. They didn't just love the good parts. They loved through the pain, through the ugliness, through the darkness. 6. They forgave the unforgivable. Damon did terrible things, killing Elena's brother, manipulating others, crossing moral lines. And yet, Elena forgave him time and again. To many, that was toxic. To others, it was proof of unconditional love. Forgiveness doesn't always mean acceptance, sometimes it's an act of deep emotional surrender. Elena didn't justify Damon's actions, she just couldn't stop believing in the good she saw in him. It's a dangerous kind of love, the kind that confuses forgiveness with healing. But in their case, forgiveness was the only language they both understood. 7. They needed each other to heal. Damon needed someone who believed he wasn't beyond redemption. Elena needed someone who saw her as more than fragile humanity. They filled the voids in each other's hearts like puzzle pieces that almost fit. But when you depend on someone for healing, love can turn into a crutch. They weren't always growing together, sometimes, they were holding each other back from self-healing. Yet, that codependency had its beauty. It showed how broken people can still find home in each other's scars. 8. Their love was timed wrong. From the beginning, timing was cruel to them. Damon loved her when she loved Stefan. When she finally loved Damon, it was after years of guilt and confusion. Their love was always a step too late, always something they had to fight for, never something that came easy. That's what made it tragic yet memorable. It's proof that sometimes, the right person can come at the wrong time, and love them anyway, even when it hurts. 9. They destroyed and rebuilt each other. Every time they broke apart, they found their way back, more damaged, yet more devoted. They destroyed each other's peace but rebuilt each other's souls. Damon made Elena question everything, and in doing so, she found strength. Elena made Damon face humanity, and in doing so, he found redemption. Their love was like fire, it burned, it scarred, but it also purified. 10. They proved that love can change people. By the end, Damon wasn't the same man who entered Elena's life. He learned to care, to sacrifice, to value life again, not because someone forced him, but because love made him want to. Elena became his mirror, reflecting the man he could be instead of the monster he was. And Elena, too, changed. She learned that love isn't just about goodness, it's about understanding darkness without losing yourself to it. Damon taught her that compassion doesn't always mean purity, sometimes it means staying even when it's messy. Together, they showed that love doesn't always fix people, it transforms them. Sometimes painfully, sometimes beautifully, but always profoundly. Damon and Elena were never meant to be the perfect couple, they were meant to be real. Their love was a reflection of everything love can be, passionate, painful, redemptive, and destructive all at once. It wasn't the kind of love you aspire to, it was the kind of love that consumes you. They showed us that love can be both a weapon and a cure, that sometimes the person who drives you insane is also the one who makes you feel alive. Damon and Elena weren't about peace, they were about truth. The raw, messy truth of two broken souls trying to find light through each other's darkness. Yes, their relationship was toxic, filled with manipulation, impulsive decisions, and moral conflict. But it was also undeniably beautiful because it came from a place of vulnerability. Two people who had lost everything still dared to love, even when it hurt. In the end, Damon's redemption and Elena's courage gave their love meaning. They weren't the fairy tale couple everyone dreams of, they were the tragic lovers who remind us that love isn't supposed to be perfect. It's supposed to be real, raw, and transformative. Maybe that's why Delena will always remain unforgettable, not because they were flawless, but because they showed that even in chaos, love can still feel like home. Toxic yet beautiful, painful yet eternal, their love burned the world down, but it also built something that time could never erase.